Now, another thing they talked about on this podcast, the triple option with Mark Ingram, it was awesome, by the way. I hope Mark never changes. And based on his introduction, the way that he introduced Derrick before the podcast started tells me that he literally will never and hasn't changed.
Boy, King Henry, the man, the myth, the legend, the Heisman, the high school phenom, the everything, Mr. All World, new to the 10K club, the best running back in Alabama history, the GOAT himself, the 10K 100 TD newest member, Derrick King Henry in the flesh. Yes, sir. On the Triple Option Podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My boy had to pull up on us.
And if that doesn't give you meet me outside the bank, come see me vibes from 2019, I don't know what will. More from Mark Ingram's podcast with Derrick Henry as his featured guest coming up in just a second. But as you see as a pinned comment right now, man, you can find your dream home and get your closing costs up to $750 at least covered through my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. I've been working with PRMI for the last year. And the big news here is that if you haven't heard already, rates have dropped. They are dropping. And this could mean big savings for your mortgage. Now is the perfect time to refinance and lock in a lower rate to reduce your monthly payments. PRMI, as a Bobby Baltimore subscriber, will cover your closing costs up to $750 for applications that are submitted by February 9th of 2025. That link that you see as a pinned comment, which is also at the top of the show notes, will lead you directly to the simple application to fill it out, mention my name as you go throughout the process, and bang, you're covered. You can apply through the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website. As I mentioned, just mention my name throughout your application process, and applications that are submitted by February 9th, that's February 9th of 2025, you are eligible for closing costs covered up to $750. So a special thank you to PRMI, Primary Residential Mortgage, for continuing to support the channel and offering a great incentive for Bobby Baltimore subscribers. Here is Derrick Henry talking about his MVP candidacy that Mark Ingram brought up, but the King took it in a completely different direction. Listen to this.
L Freaky, man, to the MVP right now.
No, I think it's L's. I mean, I don't think it's no question, who's number one MVP right now. The guy is playing better than he was when he won his first and second, so it shouldn't be no question. Man, this guy's unbelievable, man. And, being his teammate, it's just like,
he different, right?
He different. I mean,
What's different? What's different about him?
He is one-on-one for sure. He is one-on-one for sure.
What makes him one-of-one? What makes him different? I know, Mark, you felt that way for years. But what have you seen in only X months?
I'm like seeing Mark, and when Mark, we see how hard he used to go for L, and the energy Mark had when he was here. I see it now being here now. L just a great teammate, man, and it's so much. I wouldn't say so much hate, but people doubt him so much, because his style of play and him winning MVPs and the playoff stuff, man. L is a dog, man. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to play this game. And we chasing something, and we all know what we chasing, and we know we gotta keep working and getting better throughout the season to get to where we want to go. But he works hard at practice. He's a leader. He demands excellence from his team, from his teammates. He communicates what he wants, and it just shows on game days when he go out there and plays. Dude is electric in every single way.
You can't tell me that there isn't something special being built layer by layer. The foundation has been laid, and the humility shown there from Derrick, the humility shown by Lamar when he's asked about vice versa. Derrick Henry, these two are a 1-2 punch. They complement each other obviously so well. We'll hear from the Cleveland perspective in just a bit in terms of how the hell they're trying to prepare to keep these two at bay. But there is no friction right through 7 weeks. Like, I think the conversation throughout the offseason was very much like, at least at times, how is Todd Monken going to keep everybody happy in this system with the amount of mouths that he's going to be charged with feeding? And so far, there's just been a whole lot of selflessness. There's been a whole lot of glue guys and a collective understanding that, you know what? We'll eat when we get an opportunity to, but for now, we're winning games, and that's all that matters. Lamar continues to distribute the football. Derrick continues to answer the bell when called upon. And so far, through the first 7 weeks, the Ravens, from a receiving standpoint, have had 5 different statistical leaders in each game. And it's ranged from tight ends to wide receivers, which shows you the depth, which shows you the variety that they can kill you in. Week 1, it was Isaiah Likely who was the receiving leader in a loss to Kansas City. Week 2, in that home loss to Vegas, the fourth quarter collapse, Zay Flowers led the way. Week 3 in Dallas, held on for dear life there. After almost collapsing again, Nelson Aguilar led the way. Justice Hill at running back was your Week 4 receiving leader, Sunday Night Football, destroying Buffalo. Zay Flowers had Week 5 in that overtime victory against Cincy. Also, the following week as well against the Commanders at home was Zay Flowers. And then, of course, after a career day on Monday Night Football, Rashad Bateman was your game high. So, man, the differentiation, the balance with which Todd Monken is executing and operating this offense, and, of course, the point guard. I know Kobe Bryant wasn't a point guard in his day. He loved to shoot that thing. But right now, you're watching Lamar Jackson, the point guard, the facilitator, but he's also got that Mamba mentality. And damn it, Shaquille O'Neal, or whoever you want to call him, Scottie Pippin's MJ's Scottie. This is a hell of a duo. And each week you're seeing them win in different ways. And that's why, from a defensive perspective, if you're Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator in Cleveland, it's like, what do? We have the athletes in the middle part of the defense to contain Lamar because we've had success containing him in the past. But now there's this whole other beast that we got to figure out how to deal with. And as much as we can stack the box and sell out to stop the run, now Lamar can beat us through the air. And he's having the best in-pocket performance type of season that he's ever had in his 6+ year career. It is a pick your poison offense. It is a just dare. We dare you. And as Bill Belichick has often said in recent weeks, and I think it's probably the most accurate thing out there yet, throughout this 5-game win streak, and you could maybe even argue the same through the first 2 weeks against Kansas City and Vegas, the only team that can truly beat the Ravens are the Ravens. And if Bill Belichick's saying that, I tend to agree. Here's where the duo ranks right now. Of course, a lot of chatter about whether or not they'd be worthy candidates for MVP and Offensive Player of the Year, respectively. All I know is they're both chilling top 5. And in Derrick Henry's case, it's top 2, and it ain't 2 in rushing. 873 yards thus far, leads the way comfortably over San Francisco's Jordan Mason. Lamar Jackson's a top 5 passer with over 1,800 passing yards. He's also a top 11 rusher. And again, that's among all players, not just quarterbacks. So this duo is lethal. This duo is elite, and Lamar Jackson's your front runner for MVP for a reason. And I see a lot of you in the live chat. Canton's like, listen, Winston's still going to light us up. And that might be the case. Jameis Winston, who's a gunslinger, could very well be capable because of how susceptible the Ravens defense has been, particularly on the back end, which has been magnified because of the lack of pressure and crunch time that the defensive front is putting on the offensive line and opposing quarterbacks. But I still can't pick against the Ravens this week because of these two, because of their ability to put up 30 plus what looks to be in their sleep. I can't pick against them. But I'm with you, Canton. I think Winston's going to be able to put up some points. I do. Here's where Derrick ranks this season. Just ridiculous. First in rushes, first in rushing yards, first in rushing touchdowns, first in yards per rush, first in rushing first downs, first in longest rush, first in scrimmage yards, first in scrimmage touchdowns. And yet again, that look in his eye. How'd you like to be a defensive back or a linebacker or anybody for that matter who's tasked with getting in front of this guy and bringing him down, regardless of whether you go high or low, when he's going over 20 miles an hour and he's built like a freight train, like an ox? No thanks. He is a man possessed. And as we learned in this interview with Mark Ingram and many other media appearances that Derrick has made so far this year, he's loving the fit and his time thus far in Baltimore. I feel like there's just this endless amount of statistics that reflect what this group is doing offensively. Here's another one of them, which is really a team stat offensively speaking. Lamar Jackson leads the way league-wide with the highest passing EPA this year entering week 8. Okay, EPA is an efficiency stat, and you could also make the argument that EPA is a team stat, offensively speaking here. But Lamar leads the way. And you look across the board, whether it's Dan Orlovsky's top 5 MVPs, The Ringer has an entire system with metrics and calculations and rankings. Lamar just overtook Patrick Mahomes for the first time. And for the first time in a couple of years, the number one quarterback statistically, according to their system and their metrics, is Lamar Jackson. You've got Chris Mad Dog Russo getting on First Take earlier this week and saying that, yeah, Lamar's the best quarterback in the universe right now. He just flipped his biggest critic, or one of his biggest critics, upside down. There's been a change in guard. And make no mistake about it, Lamar is still chasing what Ravens greats like Ray and Ed and J.O. have that he doesn't. And in the modern era, of course, he's chasing, like everybody else is, Patrick Mahomes, who has what he doesn't yet have. But make no mistake about it, there's not as much murkiness, it seems, as you look around the media landscape in the NFL. There is not as much murkiness as there typically is with the coverage surrounding Lamar Jackson. And that in year 7, given what he's had to endure here, given the burden that he has had on his shoulders throughout much of his tenure, given what he's dealt with from a media coverage standpoint since the moment he walked into the league, well before that too, after being doubted throughout his college years, that is a sweet thing. That is some sweet, sweet vindication. And I'm happy for Lamar. Derrick Henry has more rushing yards than a boatload of teams across the NFL right now. And look, I know there's a lot of people out there, including Mike Greenberg on ESPN, that feel like Derrick is the MVP. And they're entitled to their opinion. I would put him as the OPOY right now and Lamar as the MVP because everything runs through Lamar. And strictly speaking to volume, that's Lamar. Derrick's the closer. Derrick puts this thing over the top. And as you can see, Derrick might put the Ravens over the top single-handedly coming up on Sunday. He's got 10 touchdowns from the line of scrimmage. The entire Cleveland Browns team alone has 9. Brown safety Grant Delpit, okay, talked about preparing for Derrick earlier today during one of his media sessions. And what he said was pretty freaking hysterical.
Derrick rank in terms of maybe one of the tougher players to bring down in the open field?
Yeah, he's big, you know. He's pretty big. He got size on. We're just going to put DeWand as scout team running back and just let him give us a good look.
Y'all know who DeWand is? DeWand Jones is Cleveland's 6'8", 375-pound offensive tackle. And whether he's joking or not, Grant saying that they're going to put DeWand as a scout team running back to try and prepare and simulate Derrick Henry, if that's not one of the best things I've heard since this acquisition came to be back in March, I don't know what is. Folks, he's 6'8", 375 pounds, and he's an offensive tackle. I'm telling you, appreciate this duo and appreciate Derrick Henry at 30, soon to be 31 in December while you can. Because this is a generational run right now that this Ravens offense is on. And I know defensively there is a lot left to figure out. And Zach Orr acknowledged such today during his press conference. First-year Ravens defensive coordinator, one of the youngest in the entire league, very inexperienced, has had his learning moments as many parts of his defense have as well throughout these last month and change weeks. But make no mistake about it, week in and week out, there will be, and I'm literally watching, pardon the interruption, right now as we speak, and they're talking about what's more likely this season, Derrick Henry to break Eric Dickerson's single-season record or MV3 for Lamar. Everybody is talking about this. I literally am not even sleeping because I'm trying to consume all of this content, make sense of it, react to it, and provide it for you here in this forum. It is exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. I skipped the gym because of it today. There's an overabundance of conversation. There's an overabundance of content because this is different. It feels different, offensively speaking, in Baltimore. And my, oh my, have things come full circle because it wasn't, 20-plus years ago for the OGs in the crowd? Ravens couldn't even put up points in that 2000 Super Bowl season. So much so the defense literally needed to put up both points and keep points off the board for the opponent. Absolutely insane. And it's just a fun ride to be on right now.